Arnold, the man who single-handedly popularized modern-day bodybuilding. For any gym rat or enthusiast, watching pumping iron is a core staple of one's pre-workout routine. Although the chest is one of the most widely hit muscle groups by any gym goer, the unfortunate reality is most guys don't develop your chest properly. Specifically, most guys have a lagging upper chest. Luckily for you guys, today's topic is 3 must-do chest exercises so that you guys can develop your chest and be one step closer to getting that Arnold chest. We got a lot to cover, so let's just dive right in. Before I dive into the exercises, I want to cover the anatomy of the chest so we have a good idea of how the chest actually works. The chest is actually made up of a major muscle group called the pectoralis major, and there's 2 specific parts. You have the upper head or the clavicular head, as well as the lower head or the sternal head. While you can't specifically isolate part of the chest, you can target part of the chest more effectively. So what I mean by this is by doing certain movement types, you can target the upper chest more effectively while still working the lower chest and vice versa, as well as the middle chest, which isn't anatomically its own part, but for simplicity's sakes, we can just split up the chest into the upper, middle, and lower chest. By looking at how the chest fiber runs, that's how you can determine how to target each part of the chest. The upper chest fibers run downwards, the middle chest fibers run horizontally, and then the lower chest fibers run upwards. Now, the question you should ask whenever you're thinking about building muscle or bodybuilding is, how exactly do you contract your chest? Pretty much the way I like to think about it is you want to extend your arms and imagine giving someone a hug. Similar to how you do a pec deck, so the pec deck machine is like this, that's exactly how you contract your chest. So even if you do that yourself, you can feel that when you bring your arm across your chest, you can contract your pec muscles. This movement is also known as shoulder abduction. Now, to target your upper chest, you'll need to do something called shoulder flexion, which is just bringing your arms up. So keeping these 2 movement patterns in mind, specifically shoulder abduction and shoulder flexion, we can dive right into the exercises you must start including in your chest routine. So now that we've covered the anatomy of the chest, as well as how the chest works, let's hop right into the 3 must-do exercises I recommend. Exercise number 1 is the incline dumbbell press. So whenever people hit chest, the number 1 movement people hit is the flat barbell bench press, aka the bench press. This is like the holy grail of lifting. Most guys will size each other up based off,
how much do you bench, bro?
But the truth is, dumbbell pressing is much more effective at targeting your chest than barbell pressing. And the reason for this is because when you do a barbell press, you're essentially fixing your movement pattern and you're limiting the amount of shoulder abduction you can do. Whereas when you dumbbell press, you have much more shoulder abduction, thus targeting the chest more effectively. The reason I recommend hitting the incline dumbbell press specifically is because most guys have a lagging upper chest. So by adding an incline, typically a low incline such as 30 to 45 degrees on the bench, you don't want something too high just because that starts to target your shoulders more. But adding a low incline will help you target your upper chest because now you're lying on your back and there's more shoulder flexion, which is exactly what we talked about in the previous section. So I recommend basically adding incline dumbbell press at least once per week, 3 to 4 sets, 8 to 12 reps, and focus on implementing progressive overload, essentially lifting more than last time every time you go to the gym. All right, so exercise number 2 is a standing cable fly. The specific variants I recommend including are the high to low cable fly, as well as the low to high cable fly. So the high to low cable fly allows you to target your middle and lower chest, and then the low to high cable fly allows you to target your upper chest. The reason I recommend doing both of these movements is so that you really cover all your bases and you're not just developing one part of your chest. The thing with the chest muscle is you need to have a complete chest for it to look big. For example, if your chest is dominated by your lower pecs, it might look like you have boobs. And then if your chest is dominated by your upper chest, well, honestly, this never happens, but I would say that that's one exception where if you have a really good upper chest, it actually enhances your physique. So I would recommend just incorporating these fly movements into your workout routine. It could be something as simple as including a high to low cable fly on one day and then a low to high cable fly on the other day, making sure to implement progressive overload. All right, so exercise number 3 is the pec deck. So in my example earlier, when I was talking about shoulder adduction, I was basically doing the movement of a pec deck. And the reason I really like the pec deck is because it's one of the best machines for targeting your chest. By incorporating the pec deck, you essentially just overload your chest muscle by flexing it with more and more weight each workout. And the thing is, most pec decks have good resistance curves. So sometimes you'll see some weird chest machines, like for example, you might see a pectoral fly where you grab the machine like this and you go like that. However, I personally feel like the pectoral fly doesn't target the chest as effectively as a pec deck. So that's the reason I'm recommending the pec deck over any other chest machine. All right, so now that we covered the 3 must-do chest exercises, I'm gonna cover a few common mistakes people make with their chest. So mistake number 1 is they only include pressing movements. This is common with the bench press bro, where they'll just hit 5 sets of bench press and call it a day, but they'll neglect isolation work such as flies. And the problem with this is when you're doing a pressing movement, it's a compound movement, which means that you're working out more muscles than just one. So in particular, you work out your front delts as well as your triceps when you do any pressing movement. That's mistake number 1. The way you combat that is by including isolation movements such as your flies as well as your pec decks and essentially any machine where you're performing shoulder adduction. Mistake number 2 is only pressing using the bench press. So the problem with using just a bench press with a barbell is you have a very fixed bar path and it doesn't target your chest as effectively as if you use, dumbbells or even free weights. So the way you combat that is by incorporating chest pressing variations such as an incline dumbbell press. The third and final mistake people make when hitting their chest is that they'll only hit their chest from a certain angle. So this could be something such as like only flat bench pressing or only doing pec deck. However, with both pressing and flies, you want to try to target them using different types of angles to hit all portions of your chest. And if you avoid these 3 mistakes, primarily by listening to these 3 exercises I'm telling you to incorporate, you're gonna skyrocket your chest gains, and the next time you see your friend, they're gonna be like, oh shit, what happened?
What happened?
You know what happened? You watched my videos and you implemented the tips. But that's gonna do it for this video. Basically, just to recap, what I did today was first, I covered the anatomy of the chest and essentially how it works. Second, I covered the 3 must-do chest exercises I recommend. And then third, I covered common mistakes people make when hitting their chest that prevents them from making chest gains. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.